If you've ever driven Route 66 at night, you know there's a loneliness to it that's hard to describe. The old motels and neon signs, the empty diners, the endless stretches of cracked pavement winding through the desert and ghost towns. It is like driving through the bones of America. My dad used to call it the Mother Road. But after what happened to me, I can't hear that name without a chill running down my spine. This was the summer after college, when I decided to take a solo road trip from Chicago to Los Angeles. I wanted to see the country, clear my head, and maybe find a little adventure before real life started. I've been on the road for days, stopping in small towns, taking photos, eating at greasy spoons. By the time I hit New Mexico, I was running on caffeine and adrenaline, and the desert heat was starting to get to me. It was late, close to midnight, when I left a tiny town called Tucumcari, planning to make it to Albuquerque before crashing for the night. The sky was clear, the moon huge and bright, and the only other cars I saw were the occasional truckers barreling past in the opposite direction. My phone had no signal, and the radio was just static and oldies fading in and out. About an hour out, the road got even emptier. The only light came from my headlights and the moon. I was starting to get that weird, wired feeling you get when you're overtired, when suddenly I saw a flash of light in the distance. At first, I thought it was just another car, but as I got closer, I realized it wasn't headlights. It was a pale, bluish glow, hovering just above the road, flickering like a lantern in the wind. I slowed down, squinting through the windshield. The light drifted across the highway, then vanished into the desert. I told myself it was just a trick of the eyes, maybe a reflection or some weird atmospheric thing. But a few miles later, it happened again, this time 2 lights, bobbing and weaving along the shoulder, then darting off into the darkness. I started to feel uneasy. I'd heard stories about ghost lights in the desert, but I'd always thought they were just campfire tailies. Now, alone on Route 66, I wasn't so sure. I kept driving, trying to ignore the growing sense of dread. The road seemed to stretch on forever, the darkness pressing in on all sides. Every so often, I'd catch a glimpse of those lights in the rearview mirror, always just out of reach, always moving in ways no car or animal could. Then, out of nowhere, my headlights caught something on the side of the road, a figure standing perfectly still, illuminated by the blue glow. It was a man, tall and thin, wearing an old-fashioned suit and hat, his face pale and expressionless. He didn't look at me, just stared straight ahead, as if waiting for something. I slammed on the brakes, heart pounding, but by the time I stopped, the figure was gone. The only thing left was the faint smell of ozone and the lingering chill in the air. I sat there for a minute, trying to calm down, then decided to keep moving. I told myself I was just tired, that I needed to get to Albuquerque and sleep it off. But the lights kept coming, sometimes ahead of me, sometimes behind, always flickering, always just out of reach. At one point, I passed an old abandoned gas station. The sign was broken, the windows boarded up, but as I drove by, I saw the blue lights swirling around the pumps, casting long, twisted shadows on the cracked pavement. For a moment, I thought I saw faces in the windows pale, watching, waiting. I sped up, desperate to put as much distance as I could between me and whatever was out there. But the road just kept going, mile after mile of empty desert and phantom lights. That's when my car started to sputter. The gas gauge, which should have been half full, was dropping fast. I cursed, slamming my hand on the steering wheel. There was nothing around, no towns, no signs, just the endless road and the feeling that I was being followed. The engine died, and I coasted to a stop on the shoulder. I tried the ignition, but it just clicked, refusing to turn over. I sat there, staring at the dashboard, trying to decide what to do. My phone was still dead, no signal, no way to call for help. I got out, the desert air suddenly cold against my skin. The silence was absolute, pressing in on all sides. I grabbed my flashlight from the glove box and started walking, hoping to find a mile marker, a sign, anything. That's when I saw the lights again closer this time, swirling around me, casting eerie shadows on the sand. I spun around, shining the flashlight into the darkness, but the beam seemed to get swallowed up by the night. I started to run, the crunch of gravel loud in my ears. The lights followed, weaving through the air, faster and faster, until they were all around me. I could feel the hair on my arms standing up, the air crackling with electricity. Then, just ahead, I saw another figure, this one a woman, dressed in a long, old-fashioned dress, her face hidden by a veil. She stood in the middle of the road, the blue lights swirling around her like fireflies. I stopped, heart pounding, not sure if I was awake or dreaming. The woman raised her hand, pointing down the road, and the lights shot off into the distance, vanishing as suddenly as they'd appeared. I stood there, shaking until the silence returned. Then I turned and started walking back toward my car, praying that the engine would start, that the lights wouldn't come back. But the night wasn't done with me yet. I made it back to my car, breathless and shaking. The desert was silent again, but the memory of those lights and the figures lingered in the air, like the afterimage of a camera flash. I tried the ignition one more time, and to my shock, the engine roared to life. The gas gauge was back to half full, as if nothing had happened. I didn't waste a second. I floored it, tires spinning in the dust, desperate to get back to civilization. The road ahead was empty, but every so often, I'd catch a flicker of blue in the rearview mirror, darting along the shoulder or weaving through the sagebrush. I kept my eyes on the road, refusing to look back. After what felt like hours, I saw the lights of Albuquerque on the horizon. Relief washed over me, but it was mixed with a strange sadness, like I'd left something behind in the desert. I pulled into a gas station on the edge of town, hands still trembling as I filled the tank. The attendant, a middle-aged guy with a sunburned face, watched me for a moment before asking if I was okay. I tried to laugh it off, but he just nodded, like he'd heard it all before. "See anything strange out there?" he asked quietly. I hesitated, then told him about the lights, the figures, the way my car died and came back to life. He listened without interrupting, then shrugged. "People see things on that stretch all the time," he said. "Ghost lights, old spirits, folks who never made it to the end of the road. Best thing you can do is keep driving, and don't stop for anything." I nodded, not sure what to say. I got back in my car and drove to my motel, locking the door behind me and pulling the curtains tight. I barely slept that night, haunted by dreams of blue lights and silent figures waiting by the side of the road. Now, whenever I hear someone talk about Route 66, I think of that night, the phantom lights, the faces in the windows, the feeling that the past has never really gone out there in the desert. I still love a good road trip, but I always make sure to fill up before dark, and I never ever stop for anything that glows. Because some roads remember, and some lights are meant to lead you somewhere you can't come back from.